Welcome back to Atlantic Core video. I'm late, I know. Actually, I had time yesterday tomorrow, or yesterday tomorrow. I had time yesterday, but I've been so preoccupied transferring all my information to a new book that I've kind of lost track of time, but I'm getting them all out tonight. If nothing else, I'll do them tonight, and then I'll just upload them in the morning. Actually, that sounds like the better option now that I say that out loud. But I digress. So, Brandon Whitman, you asked the question, what Lantern Corps does Harry Potter... You actually just asked for a bunch of Harry Potter characters. For right now, we'll get to Harry Potter himself. And with Harry, I think there's like three big options, but there's two I want to really kind of go over quickly before we get into the three main ones I think he belongs into. And I want to go to them because I don't think he belongs in those corps, but there's a reason why I don't think he belongs in those corps versus the perception I think those corps would give. The first is the Black Lantern Corps of Death. Now, to qualify for the Black Lantern Corps of Death, you need to either A, be dead, B, have died, and there is a technical third way you can qualify, basically being so enveloped in death, worship death, practice. You'd have to literally be the embodiment of death without being dead or have died. But the two main ones are the ones we usually go with. Now, honestly, Harry is not dead. Should also note that we are using the movie version of Harry Potter, though, to be fair, the books and the movies, generally, there are changes, but they are generally pretty well, entwined with each other, and what I mean by this is they follow each other's pacing pretty well. There are differences, certainly, things that aren't in the movies that are in the books, but that's just adaptation. But generally speaking, like, the depictions of the characters are still pretty close to each other. So we'll be using Harry at the end of the original series of movies. With that said, though, Black Lantern, obviously Harry isn't dead, but the question I think a lot of people would have for this Corp is, did Harry die momentarily against Voldemort when Voldemort used a killing curse on him? Because Harry was a Horcrux, and the only way to destroy a Horcrux was to, kill Voldemort, was destroy a Horcrux, so he sacrificed his life. But the question is, did he actually die, or did he have a near-death experience? Essentially, did he all come near death but not actually die? Hence that whole kind of in-between moment with Dumbledore, basically in like this way station. And my interpretation of that scene has always been, you can argue it with me till the cows come home. Absolutely, it's fine if you disagree with me. Is that no, he did not die. The part of Harry that did die was the part of Voldemort that was inside him. That's why they illustrated that little like fetal baby thing, which was basically the part of Voldemort that had been instilled in Harry when he was a child. So, because that was the part that took the brunt of the hit, essentially. And Harry got knocked on his ass a bit, and he got dazed. He was unconscious, having kind of a near-death experience, but he didn't die. So because he didn't actually die, I can't qualify him with the Black Lantern Corps. And the other one I want to get to before we get into the three big ones is the Blue Lantern Corps of Hope. Now, Harry certainly has hope. He does. Like, he hopes for a better life, especially throughout the series, and eventually that does come to him. He does, put his faith in other people. He does. Though a lot of time he does seem a little selfish in the sense that he feels he has to do it on his own. Now you could say that's courage, selfishness, whatever, but he does feel he has to do it on his own. Sometimes doesn't include people in that. But the real reason I don't include Harry in the Blue Lantern Corps is because Harry, when you really look at least at the movies, Harry is the boy who lived. He's famous, but he's not like the Avatar. He isn't like a shonen protagonist, or most like a lot of anime protagonists, particularly a shonen protagonist, like main character, who just instills hope in everyone that's around them. He's not Jesus. He's not any sort of icon like that. He is a boy who lucked out in a extraordinary circumstance, survived a killer, somehow defeated the killer, and because of that, he is famous. But when you really look at it, yes, he's got his friendships with like Ron and Hermione, so he can put a little hope in them. That's all well and good. But does he go around just instilling hope in everyone? the answer really is no. In fact, when you really watch the movies, yes, he's famous, but he actually really starts to blend in with the rest of the crowd pretty quickly. Like it keeps getting brought up over and over again. Like, Mr. Potter, new celebrity, and you're the boy who lived, and you'll be tested for great things. People putting him kind of on a pedestal because of the story, but it's so sporadic throughout the stories and the movies and even the books that you forget the majority is just him going through these motions of like these circumstances and events. Just like almost like a regular student would. It's just the fact that he had certain circumstances behind his life and where he was. So surprisingly, no, you'd think that he could qualify for a Blue Lantern Corp ring, but I don't think he would. I just think the three ones I have left on the docket here, I think are the three most likely. And we'll start out with the one that I think everyone will probably guess is the Green Lantern Corps. Green Lantern Corps qualifications to qualify for a Green Lantern Green Power Ring of Will is A, have extreme willpower, but B, is actually be able to overcome great fear. And then obviously your willpower powers the Lantern Ring beyond that. Now, if there's one thing that Harry does throughout the entire series of movies and books, it's overcome his fears and come out on top. It's overwhelming that and overcoming that and facing down a obstacle or an opponent that he's not ready for, but he faces it down anyway because he swallows his fear and the courage comes up. If you want further testament to that, you just got to look at the house he got placed in. He was placed in Gryffindor, which are about things like courage and bravery, admirability. So Green Lantern obviously makes some of the most sense. But there's two other Lantern Corps I think yet need to be considered, and I honestly think heavily considered. And A, one of them, and this is going to be the weird one, fear. Why would I say fear? Well, the requirements to qualify for a Lantern Corps Ring of Fear, the Yellow Ring of Fear, is obviously you got to be scary, but you have to be able to instill great fear into someone or multiple someones. And Harry's a little scary sometimes. Like, Harry is a notably good wizard. Like, even as a kid, he's not a prodigy like Hermione per se, but he's got a natural knack for magic, and it's shown through that. But because of some things that he's capable of doing, he scares his classmates at points. Talking to the snake in the Chamber of Secrets, he scared the crap out of them doing that. There's a big one I'm going to get to, but I'm trying to think of a couple other noted exceptions. I know they're in the book. I know they are. I can't recall the couple other ones right off the top of my head. That was like one of the big ones I remember. But the real big one is Voldemort himself. Voldemort, no matter how you break it down, when you really look at it, movie or book-wise, he was afraid of Harry to no end because he was the one prophesied to defeat him, to bring him down for good. Voldemort was scared shitless of Harry. And I think, that's something that, be it in the Chamber of Secrets, in the Sorcerer's Stone, in Goblet of Fire, and Order of the Phoenix. Order of the Phoenix was a big one where we see he was scared Harry. Obviously, Deathly Hallows. That was probably the biggest one where we saw just truly how scared of Harry he really was. Just because, again, because Voldemort knew he was prophesied to defeat him and kill him, that scared him to no end. And because of that, Harry could qualify for a Yellow Lantern Corps ring. It's a really weird scenario, but yeah, Harry, I think, could be a qualifier for that. The last one, and this is actually one between the Green Lantern ring, the Yellow Lantern ring, and this. This is the one that I think is actually even more likely than a Yellow Lantern ring. And I say that, and you'll know immediately what I mean when I get to it. Red Lantern rings. The Red Lantern ring of Rage. Now, if I were to really break it down, I do think green is probably his most likely corp. But if you were to give me this, if you say, okay, take green out of the equation, what is the Lantern Corp that he belongs in most? I actually think if you go from the beginning of the series to the end of the series, at least from the movies, it's Red. When you actually look at Harry throughout the series of the books and out the movies, he is a kid who has just repressed so much of his anger throughout his entire life that when he loses his temper, we see him lose his temper. We see him lose his temper quite a bit, actually. Like, there's difference between getting angry and then kind of, snapping at points. We see it in specifically like the Goblet of Fire and the Order of the Phoenix. We see it in there, and I believe it was Half-Blood Prince. We see it quite a bit. So we see it quite a bit. He'll when push comes to shove, be it either with Malfoy or with Snape or with Voldemort or with Ron on certain examples, he actually has a lot of anger built up inside him, and I think that really drives him at points because as starting how it goes, he's got a great thirst to prove himself. And because of that, he's angry. If someone's underestimating him or not taking him seriously, that drives his anger up a little bit. Now, is he someone like the Hulk where he's dominated by that emotion? Like I said, Green is probably the one he does belong in the most. Secondary, though, because he keeps his anger in check. A lot of time he's a kid throughout the majority of the movies. So he keeps his anger in check, definitely, which is why, I think Will's probably the better option than Red. But he flies off the handle more than once in the books and more than once in the movies. Especially, in fact, he flies off a couple times within, in certain movies. Again, thinking of a couple right off the top of my head, I believe the Goblet of Fire, he got angry quite a bit in the Goblet of Fire, particularly at Ron, just because Ron was being a dick. My God, Ron was being a dick. Look, Ron's character's fine, but he's not someone I liked. I was not. Did I ship characters? No, but even reading the books, I'm like, no, Ron and Hermione don't belong together. No, it really should have been Ron and Harry. It should have been Ron and Harry. It should have been Hermione and Harry, if I'm going to be honest. Like, Ginny, where did that crap come from? Whatever. She had a crush on him, so give her her man. Go ahead. I don't know. That just came out of nowhere. Hell, it would have made more sense if Hermione and Malfoy ended up together than Ron and Hermione. I really don't get that pairing. Anyway, so ultimately, yes, Green makes the most sense. Sadly, with a lot of these main characters, it usually is Green that makes the most sense, so boring. But yeah, honestly, I think Green, it does make the most sense, but I think Red is actually the best secondary option, followed by Yellow, weirdly enough. So ultimately, if you ask me what Harry's Lantern Corps are, in order of digression, in order going 1 to 3, green, red, and yellow. But what do you think Harry's Lantern Corps is? Do you think it's any of the 3 I mentioned, or do you think it is one of the others? I don't think it's any of the others. I just don't think he exhibits a strong enough emotion over the rest of his emotions or over the rest of his qualifiers. Like compassion, I don't think his compassion overrides his ability to qualify for the other 3. Same with avarice and so forth and so on. But let me know what you think in the comments below. Thank you for watching, though. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe. As always, if you want us to review something, put in the comments below. Let us know what the review of it at some point. I'll be back in a little bit with who would win. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.